There we go.
Hello and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV, and welcome back to the Tottenham Hour podcast after what was an absolutely incredible weekend for Tottenham. Definitely a better weekend than it was an opening to this show, but look, we'll get into it. We've got the full panel here tonight. We've got Ben, Sim and Dave at the Irish Hotspur to talk through Tottenham's big victory at Villa Park. We look ahead to the game against Brighton on Saturday as well. And look, let's be honest, we'll probably mention Arsenal. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below, hit that like button as well, and let's get around the house and introduce everyone. Ben, how are you getting on this evening?
All good, mate. All good. Still basking in the glory of, I think, what is that? 2 perfect weekends in a row. Starting to get used to them now. So happy days.
Yeah, look, let's not get too used to them because we know how this usually goes for Spurs. But look, let's hope this time is a little bit different. Sim, I'm sure you're much of the same.
Yeah, you know what? It's a bit weird because I've been used to like reeling from a loss, then like feeling better about it like during the week, and now I'm now not buzzing for a win, but I'm getting more nervous as the week goes by. I need another Tottenham game to just keep that buzz going, that Tottenham win. Otherwise, the nerves are going to set in too much. But yeah, look, it's been a brilliant week, and even yesterday I was watching highlights of Arsenal's loss. I was like, I can't get enough of it.
I love it. Joe, my biggest fear is that Brighton are coming off the back of a very good victory for them when they play us on Saturday, of course. But look, we'll just prove how much better we are than Arsenal when we beat them. David, I'm sure you're probably upset that Harry Kane hasn't scored in the last 2 games, but I think you'll get over it, won't you?
No, look, I can understand it takes a great man to be able to sacrifice himself for the better of the team, and that's what Harry Kane is. But Sim, no need to worry, my man. Champions League football is coming next year, so that will fill the midweek void. And yeah, Matty, I had a bit of an ollie skip the last couple of days. I actually pulled my back out just sitting there, believe it or not. So it's been really bad the last couple of days. But look, I got it fixed and I'm back. So I'm back in action, my man. I'm here to the end of the season, unlike Matt Doherty.
Too much looking down, Dave. Too much looking down.
If only you could get your medical team to have a look at Ollie Skip, maybe he'd be back in action a little bit faster. But look, there's plenty of positives to talk about today, so we're going to focus purely on those. We've got a super chat from Dark Sung G says, I just remembered that the Gooners didn't get Kulusevski in January because of Pepe. Their board is so terrible. They were planning on getting him in the summer. And look, that's a very, very good place to start. Ben, we will come to you first. That front three, yet again, were fit and firing. Kulusevski seamlessly fitting in to that telepathic relationship that there is between Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. What do you make of that performance against Villa on Sunday? Saturday.
Yeah, I think Dave, Harry Kane's going through a bit of a drought at the moment. I don't know what's going on with him. 2 games, no goals. I think people might start calling for him to come out of the team soon. No, I'm joking. Both of them are absolutely class. I mean, that header from Harry Kane into Heung-min Son was just something of absolute beauty. Sonny was at his clinical best. I mean, some of those finishes were just out of this world. And Kulusevski, they just don't know how to deal with him. I mean, you can't come too close to him. You can't stand off him too much. I mean, he's so unpredictable, and he's been like the missing piece of that puzzle, hasn't he, in that front three? And I just can't get enough of them. I really can't. And like my brother said before, it's like before you like dreading every Spurs game. Now you literally just can't wait. I wish their Spurs were playing every day. Literally, just give me that Spurs fix. And that front three is like the main part to do with it. I'm just loving seeing them at the moment. I really am.
It's such a weird feeling. I mean, like we used to play obviously twice a week, played more regular. You never want it to be game day, especially back with Nuno and that kind of poor phase we went through at the start of February. But 7 days is just too long to wait at the moment. I just want them back out in the pitch, like you said, almost every day. Sim, for that game on Saturday, Tottenham had an XG of 0.88, and of course we scored 4. Immediately people are making the comparisons to that team under Jose Mourinho when for a couple of months we were outperforming that XG and we were told it was unsustainable. We were told it would come back down to earth. But if you look at the chances created for teams in Europe this year in 2022, Tottenham have created the second most chances of any team in Europe's top 5 leagues with 46, behind only Bayern with 56. So I think that game is a little bit of an outlier, and we are more creative and just better than we were previously. Are you optimistic that it's different this time?
I mean, it's not even this game. You look at the Newcastle game, or was it also very similar? It was like 6 shots on target, 5 goals, wasn't it? So people look at that and think Tottenham can't continue to score with every shot on target. And then you couple that with the fact that in the first half against Aston Villa, we got thoroughly dominated and we were lucky to go and 1-0 up. You can make the conclusion that Tottenham are set for a fall. But I think that's minimizes how much progress we've made under Conte. I think we regularly under Conte get over 2 XG every game, pretty much. Our XG conceded is regularly under 1 goal, was under 1.0, whatever you want to call it, 1 goal as well. So I think if you take these 2 games into isolation, you can make that conclusion. And yeah, I mean, I saw. Maybe I'm looking something else, but I looked at the Premier League and I saw big chances created, and we were 3rd. I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's something. Maybe it wasn't updated from Saturday. But anyway, whether we're 3rd in the Premier League or 2nd in Europe, it goes to show how. I mean, we definitely weren't there under Nuno. I can tell you that. It's all pretty much under Conte. I don't know if we had any big chances under Nuno. So it just shows that shows how much progress we've made under Antonio Conte. And I think anyone trying to play down that progress is deluding themselves into the fact that Tottenham are playing very well at the moment, and we don't look. Maybe you can get a one-off win like Villa, but 4-0 against Leeds, 5-0 against Everton, 5-1 against Newcastle, 3-1 against West Ham. We're regularly scoring multiple goals against some decent opposition. So I don't know how anyone can come to the conclusion that Conte's tactics are unsustainable. And as well, I know you could argue Mourinho's won titles with his tactics, but very recently, last season, Conte was a league winner with how he used to play. And Mourinho's XG was nowhere near to the levels of what Conte is producing at the moment in terms of the stats. So I wouldn't look too much into how unsustainable it is unless the results start coming against us and we stop creating chances. I think every game you always look for improvement and you want to create more chances. And the fact that we have scored with every shot on target pretty much in the past 2 games does make you think, like, do we need to be creating more? But look, we scored 4 goals, and those 4 goals weren't bad chances. These weren't chances. What, like, for example, Son's second goal, you expect him to score that. You know what I mean? His 3rd goal as well is a hard chance, but it's he's inside the box shooting. Son's always got quite likely to score with that kind of chance. So I don't know. Look, Arsenal are 16th in the league for big chances created, so they don't need to. They can't really say anything.
Oh, but they will. That's the thing. That they will.
They will.
We'll enjoy how this plays out at the end of the season if it goes the way that we do want it. One thing, just as you mentioned, that 4th goal, Son's hat-trick goal. One thing I was really impressed about with that one is the kind of calmness that Dejan Kulusevski showed, and it's something that really, really frustrated me when he first came in his first couple of games, where it seemed as though he was slowing down counterattacks and he was kind of taking that bite out of what we were trying to do on the transition. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to hold my hands up and say, look, first of all, he was a player I wanted before we signed him, but I was wrong about that. And you're seeing now he has this knack that I think Kane and Son lack, which is knowing when to slow things down and knowing when that very, very direct route isn't the best option. And when he got down that line past Tyrone Mings, it would have been so easy for him to play that ball across the face of goal and to hope for a touch from a defender or hope that Reguilon is coming in at the back post. But he knew Son was making that run and he just held things up for 3 or 4 seconds and was able to pick out that pass. And I think that's a dynamic now being added to our front line that I think could be absolutely crucial. And we're probably not going to value it as much this weekend because it was the 4th out of 4 goals. But if we get a goal like that, that's the difference between 1 and 3 points in a game. I think that could be absolutely huge for us. David, I'm going to give you a little bit of an easier question, and it's one that you definitely enjoy. Talk to me about that Harry Kane performance yet again.
Yeah, I was glad because Ben keeps antagonising me about Sir Edward Harry Kane. And, we only have an hour, so I'm glad you come to me. Look, this guy, for me, he can do it all. And what proved to me that he can do it all, Matty, is in the second half, we kind of switched up how we played. We used Kane as the target man and started playing Sean Dyche long football, and it worked to an absolute treat. You look at the flick on for Sonny. He takes a little look to see where Sonny's going. And believe me, when that ball's being arrowed at you like that, make no mistake about it, it's not easy to get that ball, to crouch down, to get it, to just kind of like cushion off your head and put it into the player's path. That's not an easy thing to do. That's something you perfect in training time and time again when you're doing heading practice and all that sort of stuff. And it's absolutely brilliant. And then you also look at the one for Kulusevski. I mean, again, it's just right into his path. He knows exactly where he's going. And that shows to me now that he has the all-round thing. Yes, he hasn't scored in the last 2 games, but what I do love is that he knows, right, that there's no one else that can really get him the ball into them positions. So what he does then, he's like, okay, well, I know I can do it. And the reason why Antonio Conte asked him to do it as well is purely because Antonio Conte knows he's the best passer out of the three of that front three. He has the range, and Son and Kulusevski know that as soon as he gets the ball, they'll just run because he will find them. They know he'll get the perfect weight on the pass. And for me, you look at it, you can almost say he had a hand in all 4 goals, to be honest with you, not just the 3. The first one, he took the volley. Now, look, don't get me wrong, it was going way wide. But at the end of the day, he got himself in the position to be able to take that strike off a long ball. The 2 flick-ons with the header, and then even this goal for Son's hat-trick, he's the one that played the ball to Sonny, who then played it to Kulu to receive it back. So for me, I think all around, he just does things that no one else in world football is doing right now. And I think I keep saying this, I think he deserves a lot more praise for sacrificing the goals. And you bet he's angry coming off not getting them goals. He wants to break Jimmy Greaves' record. He wants to break the Premier League record. He wants them records. But to sacrifice himself when he's so close to them records for the greater good of this team so that we can go and get the goals we need to be able to get the job done for top 4, that cannot be understated. He's absolutely the best footballer in world football right now. It doesn't matter whether you let him drop deep because he can still hurt you, or whether he runs in behind or he's holding up the ball. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He's hurting the opposition, and he is absolutely world class. Just like Sonny, I think, 25 touches the other day against Aston Villa? And look how he affected the game, comes out with a hat-trick. That is also world class.
How was his hair, Dave?
Yeah, look, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest with you, Ben. There was a few loose ends, I don't think he had the right amount of hairspray in, but at the end of the day, as soon as I seen it, it wasn't as tidy as it usually is. I was like, he's feeling in the groove today. He's listening. He's kind of letting loose today, and I know what he's going to do. And look, I expected it. Not 10 out of 10. It was probably a 7 out of 10. But this weekend against Brighton, I expect 10 out of 10.
I love it. That's the only analysis we need. And I'm annoyed you talk about how he played. It's the hair is all we care about.
Look, just a bit more volume in that hair, Matty, and we're all cushion.
I think we should do a weekly podcast just on Harry Kane's hair, to be honest. An hour show on it.
Do you know what? We need to do a study to see how his hair correlates to his performances. I think David would enjoy that. But look, I do have to say I agree with you, David. I think the only reason Harry Kane isn't widely regarded as the best striker in world football at the moment is because he doesn't get the chance to show it on a Champions League level like Karim Benzema and Robert Lewandowski are currently getting. And look, Lewandowski embarrassed last night, it has to be said, by the maestro Giovanni Lo Celso. And Benzema, another masterclass from him getting important goals for Real Madrid. But Son as well, only 3 goals behind Salah. Apparently the best player in the world, apparently the shoe-in for the Ballon d'Or, only 3 goals ahead of Heung-min Son, and a hat-trick on Saturday would change all that as well. But David, you alluded there to the fact that Conte had to make some changes tactically at halftime, and Ben, I'll come to you again on this one. It was a concerning first half, but I think it showed, as much as we're not perfect at the moment, there are still holes in that squad. It shows how much we can rely on Hugo Lloris. That save from Jacob Ramsey, I still have not figured out how he managed to keep that out. Taken from that, are you concerned by how easily Aston Villa opened us up? And go back to the XG, it was 1.66 XG for Aston Villa throughout that game. Are you concerned by that, or are you more looking at the positives of how we managed to come through that half and the mentality to then come out in the second half and score another 3?
Look, at the end of the day, it's the Premier League. You're not going to have things your own way all the time, and that was a case of that. And credit to Villa, they played really well in that first half, and probably the best I've seen them play all season. I think Stevie G said it, that was their best performance since he's come there. So definitely their best performance of the season. So look, I was a bit worried about Spurs' performance in that first half, the amount of times we let Aston Villa get in time and time again. But again, you've got to give credit for Spurs for holding in there, digging deep, not conceding a goal. And then obviously coming out the other end, I knew that if we could get it to like no goals conceded or even just 1 goal conceded at half time, we'll come out much better in that second half. And that's exactly what happened. And I think it shut up a lot of the Hugo Lloris haters that come out every time that he makes a mistake. I mean, I consistently back Hugo. I say it time and time again, like, you're not going to sign a goalkeeper for less than like 60, 70 million. That's going to be better than Hugo Lloris. And he proved it once again on the weekend. An absolutely unbelievable display. A record in, most saves in the first half by any Spurs goalkeeper in 7 saves. 7 saves. Yes, I remember, Dave, from the quiz, not 9. Yeah. And and look, I was just really happy how we dug deep and how Hugo Lloris staved our asses. A real captain's performance. And on Mo Salah that you touched on there a second before, I mean, if Harry Kane's going through the same form Mo Salah's going in, we literally would not hear the end of it. We wouldn't hear the end of it because Liverpool have different players that can pull through for them. It doesn't really affect them too much. Let's be real here. But if Harry Kane was on that form, we'd be talking about, is Harry Kane finished? Why aren't we talking about is Mo Salah finished?
Exactly, and it's the exact same as what we went through last season, where Salah at the moment is having a contract dispute with Liverpool, and nobody's paying any attention to that. Harry Kane signed a 6-year contract, and people were still saying, "Nah, he wants to go. He wants to go win trophies." It's the double standards are insane, and on that point, the graphic that Sky Sports showed at the weekend, most goal involvement since 19th of February, which is the date that Dejan Kulusevski made his first start for Tottenham. So the list in the Premier League, you've Harry Kane first with 13. Son second with 11, Kulusevski third with 9. You have Kai Havertz and Ivan Toney on 6, and then just behind that with 5, you have Mohamed Salah, Mason Mount, and Matt Doherty, which is crazy to think about. Now, some Irish fans who've been watching him with the national team would have told you that was coming. I don't watch the national team because they're utter rubbish. But Sim, we're now in a situation where Matt Doherty is out for the rest of the season. He's ruptured his medial collateral ligament. How big a miss is he going to be in these last 7 games?
Well, it's a big blow for him personally because he was just starting to show the Tottenham fans what he's about and the form the reason we signed him. And I think for sure he's shown to be the most consistent player, even over 7 games, in terms of getting goals and assists in the final third. No other fullback has shown that kind of form, even over any stretch of games. The Doherty's shown over the last 7 games. And from that point of view, he's going to be a massive miss because he's another player who's likely to come up with a goal or an assist when we need one. It's not just that as well. If you remember that Everton game, how he was able to step in midfield and play some really nice through balls down the centre. I don't think we have any fullback apart from him who's capable of that kind of play in the central midfield. So from that point of view as well, he's going to be a big miss. But we're gonna have to find some solutions. I don't think it's going to be so detrimental that it derails us. I don't think that we were so reliant on him that him being out is going to completely derail our season. But he will be a miss because he was contributing, and that's a big shame. I think Emerson now has got a big opportunity again. I think he's been playing okay past couple of games. He's had starts. Obviously, Conte kept with him on Saturday after a decent display against Newcastle. I think he needs to start showing more in the final third if he wants to be here next season, because at the moment, I think he's obviously more of an athlete than Doherty. I think he can actually cover the space a lot better than Doherty can. But when it comes to really making an effect in the final third, getting a good ball across the face of goal or getting a shot on goal, he's nowhere near as good as Doherty has shown to be. And also getting in those positions at the back post and getting on the end of things, he needs to do a lot more than that if he's gonna be here next season and prove to Conte he can be the fullback that we need. Part of me thinks as well that if he's played Doherty on the left, maybe he can play Sessegnon on the right. Maybe he's comfortable with that. I think at the moment Emerson has the shirt, and I don't think he's going to drop him. But if Emerson doesn't, continue to improve, then I think we saw it once, didn't we? Against, I think it was Morecambe. I think second half against Morecambe, Sessegnon played right wing back, and I actually think he played all right. I actually think he looked quite dangerous, and maybe that's something Conte will look at. Going forward as well for in a few games, because I think he might be more dangerous than Emerson going forward. Then I think so that could be something good. Obviously, question marks will remain whether Sessegnon could be defensively solid on the right as he is on the left. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's something you can look at. And obviously, Kulusevski, he's mentioned before, could play wing back, but I don't think he'll do that only as a last resort. So I don't expect to see that. So I wonder how it affects how we see Matt Doherty in the summer, though, because obviously in January everyone wanted rid of him, no one wanted him to stay, and then he had this really good run of form, but it only lasted 7 games before he's out for the season. So are we going to keep him now based on those 7 games, or are we still on the camp, or Spurs still thinking of the fact that he hasn't shown it apart from those 7 games, and that's not going to be enough to convince us to keep him for another year. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with the summer, because if he had stayed injury-free and kept up that form for the remainder of the season, I think he probably would have earned another year. But because he's got injured prematurely, it's now up in the air again. And I wonder what you guys think. Do you think he stays now based on that injury? It's going to be, and I don't look, they're saying he's out for like about 10 to 12 weeks. And I don't know if that affects things as well for the summer, whether we can get rid of him while he's injured like that or not, or whether clubs will want to see how he recovers first. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's not exactly a surprise that his form has improved under Conte, because we all know, we've been saying since we signed him, that when he was good at Wolves, it was as a right wing back. It was as an offensive player, and somehow that didn't happen when Nuno was in charge at the start of the season. But Conte loves a good right wing back, and Doherty, I think, is getting back into a position where he's comfortable, and it just seems to have been a confidence issue, because like I mentioned a few minutes ago, for Ireland, he's been playing quite well. We played Portugal in a World Cup qualifier, and he pocketed Ronaldo for 89 minutes. Before he then went and scored 2 goals, but we won't talk about that bit.
The quality about him playing well for Ireland. If you watch David's Lithuania watch along, I think you could be saying different things.
Yeah, he was shite.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
He gave the ball on the pitch more than anybody.
Well, look, that's the Doherty that we know a little bit better. But look, the quality is in there, and if he can turn that form around, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be given the opportunity, because I think we're going into a summer now where we're going to have to make big changes in the squad, and I don't think we should be fooled by how well we're playing right now, because Conte is getting the absolute maximum out of every single one of those players on that team, and there's not really much more room for improvement. And as good as Ben Davies has been, as good as say the 3 in midfield, Højbjerg, Skip and Bentancur, as good as they've been, we still need another player in there. We obviously need a goalkeeper when Galini goes back to Atalanta. We can't address all of those problems this summer, adding the backup striker there as well. So I think, similar to what we saw with Bergwijn in January, when it looked as though he was going to go to Ajax and he had a good game against Leicester, immediately it was, okay, we're going to keep him. I think it's going to be a very, very fine line between players staying and going, because of how much needs to be addressed. And Doherty, the 7 games may not be enough. It had been the rest of the season, like you say, probably would have been an extra season for him. But on the point of right backs in the summer, there was a couple of reports by Alistair Gold yesterday. He said Wilfried Singo, who's a right wing back for Torino, he said Singo is likely to be a player Tottenham will look at in the summer. He ticks a lot of boxes for both Fabio Paratici and Antonio Conte. Paratici likes a loan with an option to buy, and I think he'll be looking for plenty of those this summer. And on Jed Spence, Alistair Gold also says Spurs like Jed Spence. Paratici went to watch him recently, along with Brennan Johnson. Spence certainly ticks the homegrown box and is a talented young defender with plenty of attacking potential. And David, my question to you is it refreshing to see how quickly Paratici is addressing ultimately the mistake he made last summer buying Emerson Royal? Because we signed Lo Celso for, what was it, 40-50 million. We signed Ndombele for a little bit more, and it was 2.5 years when we were trying to force them into the team, and we were trying to force some form out of them, and ultimately it cost us a lot. It's going to cost us financially as well as we try to move them on. But the fact that Paratici is within a year already realizing, okay, this signing isn't good enough, we need to try again, is that refreshing to see for you?
No, it's exactly what I want at this club. Look, you listen to any ex-professionals talk, anybody in the game, they say football is one of the most ruthless businesses out there. And it's about time Tottenham started operating like that, to be honest with you. Look, we've been burnt so many times before, especially under Steve Hitchen era. The guy spent over 300 million on players, and very few of them are actually like real assets to Tottenham Hotspur. And we found ourselves in a position where they've been hanging around for a couple of years, even though not performing. Look, as much as Eric Dyer, Ben Davies has stepped it up this year, and massive credit to them. You know, they've been here 7-8 years, if not longer. You know, their performances over that whole period, do they still deserve to be here? Probably not. Now, look, granted to them, they stepped it up and they're showing that they can't perform under this manager. But the problem at Tottenham, and the reason why we've gone through the last 2 years of pure hurt and pain and frustration and everything else with the football club, is because we've had players there who don't perform. We've brought them in on big money. We brought a lot of them in over the last couple of years. We still have players there from the Poch era who weren't performing at the time. And that's why we got into the problem last 2 years, because we wouldn't move them on. We were sitting there every single summer. Right, well, you know, at least 10 of these people could go, and not enough of them were being shipped out. Now, Paratici came in this summer. He shipped a lot of them out. A lot of them went. You know, you look what he done this summer. We spent a record signing Ndombele, gone. Lo Celso wasn't performing at Tottenham. I don't care if he's performing at Villarreal. Could not give two cahoots. I care what people do in the Tottenham jersey. He wasn't performing, gone. Dele Alli, I've been screaming about for years. This guy is not performing. Why are we still giving him a free pass on what he's done in the past? You've got to get him gone. We were right. He can't even get a game at Everton, who are in a relegation dogfight. And at the end of the day, if you want to be able to compete with the likes of Liverpool and City, we can't do it financially. The only other way you can do it is by operating smartly in the market and being ruthless. You bring in a player who doesn't perform, you get him straight back out the door. Because ultimately what you do, if you bring too many players in and you already have a lot of players who have been here long term and not performing, you develop a culture of it's okay. You win one, you lose one, you don't really care. It's okay. And that's what we've been seeing over the last few years. Paratici come in now, he's ruthless. Look, he brought Emerson in. Look, a lot of us at the time, there was a lot of talk about Emerson. It was a good deal. It hasn't worked out. Now, get him gone this summer. You cannot keep showing to people that you can come to Tottenham or you can get your agent to get you a move to Tottenham because you can get a big payday and it doesn't really matter how you perform. You look how I said that the January transfer window was a 9 out of 10. Everybody laughed at me. Absolutely everybody laughed at me. They're like, you're crazy. You look at the signings we made. We got quality over quantity, which was another thing I called for. I was on this channel calling for it going into the transfer window and everything else. I don't want to see the mistakes where we're trying to make a budget spread for 7 players. If you have a budget, go and get me 3 players out of that, or bring in someone that can manipulate that budget and get 7 players, but 7 players of quality. And that's exactly what Paratici done. He manipulated the budget in the summer to be able to get in a Romero, who we haven't even paid for, a Glini, who we haven't even paid for. You look what he done this January. We've gotten Bentancur, 19 million. I mean, that's an absolute snip of what the guy has brought to this team to get us Champions League football. Kulusevski, I think it'll end up being about 36 million. We still owe money. We still have to pay for a lot of that. That's unbelievable business. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people out there do not like Daniel Levy, and rightly so. Everyone is well within the right to have the gripes with this guy. But at the end of the day, you have to accept that every club operates with wage structures, budgets, and everything else. It's not just Tottenham. Ours is just more stingy than most other clubs. But if we're going to have someone in that has to operate under them rules and this owner's not going anywhere, I would rather have someone that can manipulate and operate a budget rather than Steve Hitchen. And I'm sure, to be honest with you, it's the same with Daniel Levy. Look, Steve Hitchen went out to Milan. He probably went out there with probably 55 million to go and get Skriniar. He came back to Levy and said, I want 70. You look at Paratici, he went out to get Romero. They wanted 50-something. We didn't have it. Okay, we'll get him on loan to buy it. We'll pay you next season when we do have it. That's how you work a budget in football. And then you look at Kulusevski, who's come in, completely transformed our front three. Everyone's talking about it now, one of the most dangerous front three all across Europe. When if we're in the Champions League, people would be absolutely playing with themselves to that front three. They really would be. And for me, I think you look at the guys that what Paratici has done. He's ruthless. He's got rid of a lot of guys who were trouble, who didn't want to be here, were affecting what we were doing. Got rid of the guys that didn't want to pull the Conte away. Okay, you don't want to do it, you're gone. Goodbye. You got in quality over quantity. And that's what we need at Tottenham. We cannot keep bringing in quantity just to fill positions. And you're sitting there debating, are they of the required level? But now we're bringing in players that are of the required level. Now, a lot of people say that Paratici's signings were reject and they were potluck. He went back to his own club. They want to see more. At the end of the day, Steve Hitchen went to big clubs. He couldn't get the players. He could not get them. You look at Paratici, he goes over, right. We have to understand that in January, we were actually linked with Kulusevski going into that transfer window before it, right? And we weren't really linked with Bentancur, but we had Amrabat lined up just in case. Now, Juve, I always said this, January is an opportunist window. You've got to operate smartly, and it is an opportunist window. Juve got in Vlahovic and Sakaria, which freed up Kulusevski and Bentancur. They were labelled as rejects. Bentancur has won multiple trophies at Juve. He's won multiple trophies. This guy's a winner. He knows how to win things. Mm-hmm. Kulusevski is an unbelievable player, and they've come in and transformed this club. And I just say to people, your problem with Daniel Levy, don't make it Paratici's problem. Paratici tries. Now, look, I know what's going on around him at the minute and everything else, but put that aside and what he's done for this club in such a short space of time. But we were all in a position where we were getting frustrated with this club. You know, a lot of people were falling out of love with what was going on. Well, everybody's love and enthusiasm are back. And that's how quickly this guy's done it. He's done it in 6 months. 6 months, 2 windows it's took this guy. That's unbelievable.
But David, just quickly on your point, you're saying how, you know, when you have a player who's not working, you just need to get rid of them, even though whatever the circumstance. But based on that, we would have got rid of Son after a year, and we wouldn't have him in the team right now if we did that. So isn't there a case of sometimes time does mean a player can get acclimatized to the team?
Yeah, 100%. I get what you're saying, but with Son, you could always see he was trying. He was always trying.
Don't think Emerson was trying?
Emerson, fair enough, but no one can tell me that Ndombele was trying, Lo Celso was trying, people like Dele Alli was trying. None of them were trying. They all got the boot, which is exactly what we need to do at Tottenham. Look, I think Emerson is trying. I really do. But at the end of the day, Conte, we have to do what Conte wants. If Conte wants Emerson gone, he's not good enough for his plan. You got to get rid. Look, Matt Doherty, as well as he's been playing, I would still consider getting rid of the guy. I'm not being funny, but 7 matches over a 2-year period is not good enough. He's actually given us a lot worse performance, more bad performances than he has good performances. Now, look, Paratici was never, ever going to be able to rotate this all within 1-2 windows. It's always going to take a couple more windows to see the finished product out there. But in order to do that, you still have to be ruthless. And he has been ruthless since he's been there.
You know what, listening to that, I'm just thinking there was a time, David, when you weren't on YouTube and you weren't getting to say stuff like this, and I wonder how we ever got through that. I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. There's a lot of comments saying "well said, David," and they're all agreeing with you on that one. I love that. It's a better answer than I was expecting. I won't lie.
I kind of blacked out there and went off on one.
Well, look, it was worth it. It was worth it. And look, the transfers are going to be a massive discussion going forward, and what Paratici can bring into the team again. Jack Pipbrook reported last week, I think it was the day after we streamed, about the centre backs we're looking to bring in. So he said that we're prioritising a left-sided centre back. The names he brought forward were Josko Vardiol, Alessandro Bastoni, Nico Schlotterbeck, and Sven Botman as players that Tottenham have at the top of their list. Botman looks likely to be going to AC Milan. Nico Schlotterbeck seems to be a backup option. But in terms of Josko Vardiol and Alessandro Bastoni, look, I've been saying it for definitely since last summer that Alessandro Bastoni is the perfect centre-back to play at the left side of a 3 for us. He's doing it for Inter Milan at a really high level. He got his chance there because of Conte. He'd just been loaned out to Parma and didn't actually have a minute with the first team until Conte put him in that side, and now he's one of the best left-sided centre-backs in Europe. And looking at the kind of qualities that he and Vardiol have, they're 2 players who are really good in possession and are really, really proactive defenders. Looking at Vardiol, for example, he attempts 79.4 passes per 90. He's in the top 8% of the Bundesliga centre-backs for that stat. He's in the top 6% of Bundesliga centre-backs for carries in possession. He's 63 carries per 90. He's above average for progressive passing, expected goals from ball progression, defending intensity, ball recoveries, and interceptions. And for Alessandro Bastoni, he is ranking in the 86th percentile in European football for ball retention, 94th percentile for defending intensity, 95th percentile for attempted passes. These are players who have these qualities that are exactly what we need in our defence right now. And the way I put it, I have some graphics on my own stream now, so I won't be able to access them here, but I did an article last week and I was looking at the improvement in the Tottenham defence since Antonio Conte came in. And in terms of... Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Not many people did. But in terms of carries with the ball and progressive carries per 90, the likes of Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and Ben Davis have almost doubled in those departments since Conte came in. And it's a really important part of what we're doing because we mentioned it quite a bit. We're playing, I remember mainly Romero's first start for the team against Paços de Ferreira. This right centre-back we brought in, all of a sudden he's playing right wing and you're thinking, who is this psychopath that we've brought in here? But it's such an important part of what we're doing. These players who can pop up in these unlikely positions. When Romero is for some reason the furthest man forward and deflects the ball into the back of the net against Brighton. So what Conte's done with Dyer, Sanchez and Davis in particular, these players who really, really don't thrive in that area, and he's made them some of the best in the Premier League. Davis and Romero, for example, are in the top 5 for pressures per 90. Imagine what he can do if he gets players like Bastoni, like Vardiol, who are extremely young, who are thriving in some, what you have to admit, maybe not the best leagues in terms of competitiveness, but in terms of the best teams in the league, I think they are behind only the Premier League. These players are thriving in these leagues with these exact attributes. So if Conte can get them into this team and improve on what they already have even further, Tottenham are going to have an incredible, incredible defence. And dare I say, if Conte gets these players, and maybe if we improve on Dyer, we could have a defence that's better than what we had with Vertonghen and Alderweireld, purely because they'll be solid defensively as well, but will offer so much more going forward. And that is crucial to a Conte team. I mean, the only time I can remember seeing something like it in the Premier League, which is a bit of a weird comparison to make, but the overlapping centre-backs that Chris Wilder had at Sheffield United, and they nearly got into Europe with that, and you look at the calibre of that team, it's a tactic that isn't really used very much. It's a very dangerous one, but when you get it right, it can be one of the best in the league. It can be one of the best in Europe, and give Conte the players that he wants. So Jack Pitbrook said we're potentially looking to pay the amount of money that we paid for Romero. Let's be honest, it will take that if we want to get Bastoni or Vardiel. We could be in an incredible position, and then continuing to build the team around it, identifying those little weak spots. I think right wing back is in there as well, potentially left wing back if Reguilon does move on, if Sessegnon's injuries continue. The importance of getting the players that Conte wants, not getting a cheaper option, not getting a plan B, but getting these players is absolutely huge for Tottenham, and more than it has ever been before, because we've never had a manager like Conte with the quality of Conte and at his prime. It could be absolutely gigantic for Tottenham. And I said it from the day Conte came in, getting into the top 4 is going to be absolutely crucial for that. And I look forward to...
Can I just add, it's how we identify the positions that we need as well. It is absolutely crucial how we go about this summer window, because what we've done in January, like, you know, how many of us were sitting there screaming, arguing whether Højbjerg or Winks should be playing or this or that or the other, right? It was clear we needed a ball-playing midfielder. We went and got Bentancur. We needed someone on the right-hand side who had end product, because Lucas Moura just wasn't giving us enough. We went and done it, and it's completely transformed this team. So going into this summer transfer window, they have to identify the positions that they want to improve on and go and get in them positions. I don't want to see us go for a centre-back and buy in a central defensive midfielder to convert him to a centre-back. You bring in a specialist in them positions, like we done in the January transfer window, and you see the fruits and the rewards of that.
And that's exactly what Klopp did at Liverpool, right? He comes in, they're like flirting with top 4 all the time. Not a great team, that Liverpool team was, but what they did is they targeted the best people in those specific positions that they could genuinely bring in, you know, the Alissons, the Fabinhos, you know, all the players that they brought in around that time, Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, it cost them a few quid, but they're bloody reaping the rewards now, aren't they? So I think it's very exciting if we can do that sort of thing under Antonio Conte, under his stewardship with Don Fabio. Yeah, I said it, Don Fabio at the wheel.
Yes, he's cooking.
I love
it. If
it.
we can do that, I think it's very, very exciting times to come. It really is. And if we can sort out this defense, we don't need to sort out the attack. We need to plug a few holes in midfield. But if we can sort out these wing backs and these defenses, God knows where it can take us. It really, God knows where it can take us.
And that's why this could be I'm just saying that's why it could be a big sliding doors moment whether we get Champions League this season. So I think, as I've said, the trajectory of us and Arsenal in the short term could definitely depend big on who gets this CL money and who has more to spend in the summer and who has more pulling power, because we might be shopping in very similar pools in the summer, and we're going to have to try our best to get our number one choice. And if we don't have Champions League football in our armory to pull players towards us, then it's going to be very difficult to achieve what Conte wants to next season.
It's the same at Newcastle as well. They'll be shopping in the same pool, and they have the money. So we have to have the Champions League pool to be able to get our targets.
I want to ask you guys a question. I've just seen that Richarlison just changed, has moved to CAA base agency, which obviously is like gearing towards a move this summer. The same agency as Heung-min Son, Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, the same agency that helped bring Romero across as well. Would you guys want Richarlison in the summer?
Yeah. Go on, Matty, go on.
No, go ahead. I thought you were muted. I was going to say that.
No, do you know what? I would, right? I look at him. He is a player that has skill. He can score goals. Now, you probably look at him, you're saying, a bit of an anger issue there. But if you could channel that anger in the right way, you've got one hell of a player on your hands.
Yeah, that is fair. I think his ceiling is very high, but the consistency just isn't there. I mean, it's easy to forget. Was it 2 years ago Barcelona made an offer of 100 million for him on deadline day? I mean, look, he's a far cry away from that sort of quality. But if he was as good as he could be, Everton wouldn't be in the situation they're in right now. So I don't know if he's reliable, but as a backup option, as an impact sub, maybe there could be something there. But for the money that he would cost, I'm not entirely sure if that's a very good option.
Everyone says, like, I'm reading comments like, oh, first of all, yeah, I would want him. I think he's got a lot of quality, and I think if you put him in a better team, I think he would shine. And I think if you put him with the only thing is at Tottenham, he'd find it difficult to break in the team, but he's very versatile. He could play out on the left, he could play down the centre, and I think with the right motivation, he got a real player here. And I've seen people saying, oh, he's very selfish at Everton, he doesn't really pass the ball, he's way too selfish for Spurs. Well, when you got Iwobi to the left, and Townsend to the right, you probably would be selfish, wouldn't you? I mean, let's be honest. The playing ability in that Everton squad is not very good, and I think he's doing the best with what he's got. And I actually think, for me, I mean, for me, when I watch Everton, he's one of the few players who I really see fighting for Everton to try and stay up. And he knows in himself he's got the individual quality to make something happen, and he's trying to. And sometimes he is probably too selfish, and sometimes he doesn't make the right decision. But I see a player who's fighting to do what's best for the football club and trying to get a goal for the team and keep them up. And they don't have enough players like that in the team. And I, for one, as much as he has been maybe inconsistent in an Everton shirt potentially over the past few seasons, I do think, people would have said Mane was inconsistent before Liverpool signed him, is my point. You know what I mean? He wasn't the most consistent player for Southampton. I think there are a few other examples of players like that. So I, for one, would welcome someone like Richarlison at Tottenham. I think he's got a decent age as well. He's still, 24, 25? He's still a decent age.
It's surprising how young he is, because he's been around for ages.
Yeah, I would have thought he was pushing on to 27, 28.
No, he's 24. He's 24, so he's still very young. If you give someone like him Champions League football, who's never played Champions League football before, you don't think he's going to fight tooth and nail to be the very best version of himself, especially with the World Cup coming up. He wants to be in that squad as well. He's desperate. So I think it'll be, especially if it's a good price, I think it'll be a brilliant deal. And I think he has, and also, I know with Son, getting to 30 and everything, like he'd be a brilliant player to kind of take over from Son in the future, potentially. I think anyway. I think he has a ceiling for it. So I know people have their reservations, but I think it'd be a brilliant signing.
But as well, though, you put him in around ultimate professionals like Kane, like Son. You put him in out there training with them day in, day out, rather than with Iwobi and the other idiot you mentioned, Sim. You're going to see a much better player. You're going to see a player that's going to be much more improved as well. Of course, he's going to be selfish and everything. I mean, look, I hate Iwobi. I actually think he's useless. Now, I know when we were watching the game against Newcastle, he got a good goal and everything else. But I'll be honest, if I was in that team and I had him to the left of me, I wouldn't pass to him either. At the end of the day, he wants to be the main man at Everton so that if things do, he can see where that club is going. He knows it's going only one way. So he wants to be the main man to be able to get the move out of there. I have no problem with that. No problem. You put him in a team like Tottenham, you put him in any other top team around the world, he will become an unselfish player because he has players that you can trust around him.
Yeah, I agree with that, to be honest. But look, again, like I said earlier, I think there's probably more important parts in the team to address. But I suppose if Conte wants him, if Paratici wants him, get him in and spend whatever it takes. I think we're at that level of trust with these new guys. But look, I'm sure we'll be talking transfers on the podcast throughout the rest of the season. So I'm going to bring up a topic that I don't know if you'll want to talk about. I don't know if you'll enjoy this, and I apologise in advance if it's a sensitive one. But Arsenal lost again. At home this time to Brighton and Hove Albion. They were embarrassed. They were humiliated.
I can't believe you brought that up. Oh, no.
Look, look, we all make mistakes.
Those poor Arsenal fans, those poor Arsenal sitting at home, listening to this, hoping they could find something about can Tottenham fall apart, and you bring that up. I mean, how could you?
Exactly. They've been so humble over the last few months, saying how they've been better than Tottenham and how they're going to the Champions League, how Mikel Arteta is the next best thing since Sir Alex Ferguson and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're such a humble fan base. I mean, you're so mean, mate.
Do you know what my favorite thing about them was? I don't know if you saw, there was like a compilation some Arsenal fan tweeted of it's like the Champions League anthem, and it's the start of the Champions League kind of theme video, and it's like interspersed with different highlights of Arsenal this season. And there's highlights: a goal against Burnley, someone dribbling past the player when they were playing Norwich, and they'd one highlight of against a big team, and it was in the game they lost to Man City, but they put the pressure on. And if that doesn't tell you what you need to know about the mentality of that football club, look, Ben, it wasn't just Arsenal that lost at the weekend. It was Manchester United and West Ham as well. Thank you very much to Brentford and Everton for those surprise victories. It's a massive weekend for Tottenham. That victory against Aston Villa, just like the victory the week before against Newcastle, felt so big because this is typically the part where Tottenham mess things up when it's in our hands. You know, when we're in the driver's seat, we lose stupid games. Like I remember that 1-0 defeat at the London Stadium when Lanzini scored when we were chasing Chelsea for the title. I remember a game that, even going back further, we lost 3-2 at the Etihad in January after going top of the table. I'll never forget Balotelli stamping on Scott Parker's head in that game. But look, I digress. Huge weekend for Tottenham, and the momentum seems to be swinging. Do you think this poor form of the opposition is going to last right through to the end of the season, or do you think we need to take a step back and realize that there's still a very long way to go in this?
I think that you need to kind of just focus on yourself, regardless of what the opposition are doing. You just need to keep focused on yourself, keep winning, keep trudging along, keep that good form and mentality that you've got going about you. And I felt like in that first half of that Villa game, maybe they did have too many eyes on what was going on around them. And then maybe second half Conte just laid down the law and said, look, just stick to your own game and we'll get this done. And that's exactly what happened. But I keep saying that we need to just keep focusing on ourselves, but then I keep watching Arsenal with very close eyes and United and West Ham.
Well, as fans, we can do it. I think it's different for players.
Yeah, no, I know, get that. But I think the players are looking at it as well. But anyway, what I'm saying is that I am loving every single thing I'm seeing come out of that Arsenal camp at the moment. It's absolutely like Christmas come early. I'm loving just seeing the way they're playing. They're absolutely shell-shocked. They came out of that Crystal Palace game like they never played with each other before. Literally, like they never played with each other. The one little sign of pressure and they crumble. And that's exactly what we used to do. And I thought because of this crumbling that's going on around us, maybe we're going to see some from Tottenham. But Antonio has got them fit and firing and ready. And look, I think that they will get to a point of the season where they will start winning again. But hopefully we'll have them out of sight by then.
Yeah, fingers crossed. The last thing I want is to be playing them in the derby and things still be up in the air and it maybe being a decisive game. My nerves wouldn't be able to handle that. So before I come to you, I just want to address a comment here. Alexander Hilton says, will Mason be the manager versus Brighton? I know you guys put it out in the stream a while ago. Just for anyone who may not know, the club confirmed, I don't think it was publicly confirmed, but to journalists that Antonio Conte has tested positive for COVID-19. By the sounds of it, he tested positive at the weekend, so I'd assume after the game on Saturday or on Sunday. He, I think, was symptomatic, but is now no longer. He's asymptomatic at the moment and has observed training from a distance for the last couple of games. And the club are hoping that he will remain asymptomatic and be able to take that game at the stadium on Saturday. So at the moment, it's looking unlikely that it will be Mason or Stellini or anybody else. It's looking like it will be Conte, but one to keep an eye on just because you know how things can change with COVID. But Conte has it. He should be there on Saturday.
I saw a great tweet actually. I can't remember it word for word, but they were saying that if Conte is not there on the sidelines on Saturday, they should just get him on a Zoom on the big screens and just get them staring down at them all game.
Oh, I'd need to see that. That would be incredible. I saw one saying get like a Conte cam from his hotel room, which look, whatever it is, as long as we get to see Conte on Saturday, that's all I care about. Sim, I was in a stream last night and HG from the Cheese Room podcast made a good point that we're talking about if Tottenham win the rest of their games, that it's ours. But if Arsenal win the rest of their games, it's theirs, because of course we still have to play them, excluding a bit of a swing with goal difference.
And he's a 10-goal swing, Matt, in goal difference. But look,
come on. What was it, 2 months ago? It was a 15-20 goal swing in the other way when we were on a negative goal difference. So, it is possible. I suppose the same question to you.
They haven't reached plus 19, exactly. Not with Nketiah and Lacazette, exactly. Come on. But anyway, go on. What were you saying, Matt?
No, that's fine. I just want to know. I suppose, do you think Tottenham can hold on to this, or is, like saying to Ben, is there a long way to go?
No, look. I think there is a long way to go. I find it hard to believe, having lost to Palace and Brighton, they're then going to go away to Southampton, away at Chelsea, home to United, and away to West Ham, and pick anything like up the amount of points they need to stay in the race. But Arteta throughout the season has found a way in a lot of other of games of picking up results, but never really in these kind of big games, especially away from home. So I do find it hard to believe, but I think
didn't they have a really great performance at Man City at home to Man City, wasn't it? They were really proud of themselves.
Yeah, they're very proud of themselves. They said they never has a team lay siege to Pep Guardiola like that game. It's never happened before in the history of the Premier League.
Blueprint on how to beat Manchester City.
There was an article. In fact, forget Tottenham doing the double over City. Arsenal have the blueprint. But I think, look, you have to be wary of it because they do have some talented players. And if they do find that, I think Arteta was guilty of overthinking things on Saturday. Xhaka left back, playing Smith Rowe and Odegaard in a deeper position, all these kind of things. I think they were guilty of that. And if he goes back to basics, puts a left back at left back and puts Xhaka back in midfield and gets better control there, maybe they can start picking up results again and start looking at the team that was challenging for top 4. But losing at home to Brighton, who had lost 6 of their last 7 games and drawn 1, is pretty atrocious when you're looking at top 4. That is like Tottenham 2012-esque kind of like result bottling. I find it hard to believe they'll, like, with the young squad, they're going to recover from that. But I think what the most important thing is, as Ben said, like, they can get. It might be possible they get results, but what the most important thing is, I want Arsenal to be watching us every week and get downhearted by the fact that we're blowing teams away. And that will be the biggest thing in terms of that top 4 race, because there's nothing more demoralizing than watching your opponent hoping they drop points and then they absolutely just blow their teams away. And I bet you they're watching that game at Villa. Yeah, and I'm telling you, and it's demoralising. I'm telling you, they're watching that game at Villa thinking, okay, we've dropped points, and maybe Tottenham will drop at Villa. Let's just hope. And then to see us win 4. You saw that guy from AFTV, how he responded to hearing it. Tottenham are 4-0 up against Aston Villa. He was like, oh my God.
Inject that into my veins, man. I've watched that so many times.
There is nothing, worse than that. And there's nothing I'll give you more hope than seeing your opponent, when you've got a good result, also drop points in a game they should be winning. So we just got to concentrate on ourselves. We could be 6 points above Arsenal before they go to Southampton, because we play Brighton in the early kickoff. And if we win that game, then all of a sudden they need to win that game to keep pace with us. All of a sudden the pressure's right on them. So as long as Tottenham keep on themselves, as long as we keep up our own standards, then Arsenal I can't see anything but negativity seeping into them, and doubts even more. As much as there must be doubts now in their squad, it's going to seep even more the more they look at Tottenham and see us continue to win. And for over the next 3 games, we've got a big chance of continuing that streak. It's just that obviously we got Liverpool, then Arsenal in consecutive games. So Arsenal will be thinking, if they can stay within touching distance of us come those games, then they have a chance. So we got to make sure that they aren't, and we keep winning. And look, they're not going to win. Chelsea, United, West Ham, I'm telling you, they will drop points in at least 2 of those games. They might win one of them, but they will drop points in at least 2 of them. I'm not sure which 2, any 2, but 2 of them they'll drop points. I'm certain of it. So as long as they do that and we keep winning, it's going to be very difficult for Arsenal to keep pace with that. And it might be all over by the North London derby if that keeps happening.
That'd be some party.
That would be.
Do you know what?
I can't wait for the NLD. Can't wait.
This conversation is music to the ears of every single Tottenham fan out there. There's no doubt about that. But there's one man who's been banging this drum for a lot longer than I have. I can say with honesty. I was a bit, kind of critical of his positivity for a while with David Harris. You've been saying it for months now that this was going to be Tottenham's. We were going to make that push. We were going to get in there ahead of Arsenal, that they'd fall off at the end of the season. Look, how happy are you about how right you were?
Yeah, look, Matty, no one likes a told you so, but I did tell them. I did tell people at the end of the day that it was going to happen. Look, sometimes in life, you just got to take yourself away from the immediate reaction and just, look at things ahead and make up your own mind. And that's exactly what I've done. Look, I should be careful about talking about some of these rivals because they lose to us and they're so far behind us. They then cry and clip me. So I better be careful with what I say about these people out there. But look, when it comes to Arsenal, you've got lack of threat up front. You've got the walking Manscaped advert, ball sacker. You've got the cheap cleaning product in Odegaard, you know, and then you've got Emil Smith can't roll a ball. Look, the last three I mentioned, they're young, they're naive, and that's the base of Arsenal's squad. And I don't think they'll be able to handle this pressure in this running. You look at Tottenham, we've got some experienced guys out there who've been there, who've seen this. Lloris, you've got Dyer, you've got Davies, you've got Son, you've got Kane. You know, and I just think we're better equipped to go into this this part of the season, the business end part of the season. Look, Arsenal can take all the trophies they want, but they need to remember it's a 38-game season. You know, anyone can praise them around 24, 25 games, but it's what the Premier League looks like at the end of the season. And to be honest with you, I would love nothing more to see them in the Europa League, or not the Europa Conference League. Sorry, not the Europa League. That's too good for them. The Europa Conference League. Purely because the amount of stick they gave us, they thought they were the big guys walking around no Europe and giving us stick for getting some sort of Europe. Now, it would be absolutely fantastic to sit there and watch them getting buzzed up about the Europa Conference League. It really would. It gives me so much material for my Spurs breakfast shows that I want to get out there. There'll be so much material from the likes of them channels and all. I just clip them, put them up there. You know, this is what they said last season when we were in it, and this is what they're like this season. You know, I can't wait. Look, at the end of the day, it's squeaky bum time. If we want to get rid of the Spursy mentality, for me, it starts in the fan base. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to believe. Look, at the end of the day, football is all about banter. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But at least we turned our season around and gave it a good go. You know, and at the end of the day, it's still not going to stop me from bantering West Ham, especially Arsenal, United, all of them teams. It's never, ever going to stop me. Even when we were down where we were, I was still bantering them. And it shouldn't stop you as fans either. Look, pressure and being respectful to oppositions, that's for the players to do. That's why they're out there. Us fans, take the mickey out of them all you want. It's been a long, insufferable 2 years as a Spurs fan. Now's the time to enjoy it. Now is the good times are back, baby. Sit there and enjoy it and just banter everybody.
Yeah, I think David kind of experience within the squad. I mean, they've got the youngest squad in the Premier League. When we had the youngest squad in the Premier League, we had the likes of Jan, Toby, Dembele, Hugo Lloris. We had experience sprinkled in there. I mean, their most experienced player is Granit Xhaka. So I think that tells you everything you need to know in terms of experience. So
they have experience up front. I think it's the wrong kind of experience. Yeah.
Do you see the interview Xhaka did with it was like the Players Tribune or something? And he was saying,
released today, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's part of it where he said like, I want to achieve something special with Arsenal, and I'm not going to leave until I do. And I just really look forward to him, 75 years of age, togging out for Arsenal on a Thursday night away to FC Sheriff in the Conference League or something. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. The man who threw the captain's armband onto the ground, got booed out of the stadium by his own fans, and then a new manager came in and had to convince him to stay. That's the spine of this Arsenal team. And I do have to say, I really do love that. But look, the game at hand for us is, of course, Brighton at the weekend. We mentioned already. In case anyone didn't hear, Brighton won at the Emirates last week. And it's a tough game. We beat them 2-0 away recently, but they're a good side. And their day, I do believe they can beat anyone, maybe outside of that top two in the Premier League. But then a week without Conte, properly running training, our first game without Doherty, we're going to have to rotate a little bit. How are you feeling going into this one?
Mate, Stellini will be getting into them this week, that's for sure. I mean, he's a scary bastard, he is. Now I'm confident this weekend, and I think what's added a bit of fuel to the fire for me is that Moefu coming out and saying, let's go beat. Don't worry, Arsenal. We're going to try and beat Tottenham. Where was our kind of don't worry, Spurs fans? We're going to try and beat Arsenal last weekend, but
you didn't have to say he just did it.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have to say he just did it. Yeah.
Don't be running your mouth, Brighton players, because you're in for a big, long, hard game this weekend, and I really, really want to batter them now after he comes out and says that. So you asked me for predictions, or are you just asking how the game? What are you asking me? I don't even know.
Give me a prediction too. Treat me.
All right, I'm going to go for 5-0. 5-0 Spurs.
Ooh, that's big. That's big. Who gets the hat-trick? Because someone will have to.
Harry Kane. Harry Kane back in the goals this weekend.
I love it.
Harry Kane will get 3, and Decky will get 1, and Sonny will get 1 as well.
Beautiful. Sim, how are you gonna follow that one?
I don't quite think it'll be 5-0.
With
Brighton,
negativity, that's how.
I think when it comes to Brighton, you've got to remember as well, they actually play, I know they play 3 at the back most of the time, but they actually play a fairly similar formation to what Villa play in terms of 2 up front. They got 1 in behind. They have the 3 centre mids as well a lot of the time. So we have to be wary about that, because Villa had a lot of joy in terms of tactically in that first half, being able to find spaces behind Bentancur and stuff like that. And obviously we struggled to contain that. So hopefully Villa would have been a litmus test to how to perform against that kind of formation, and maybe hopefully we would have learned from our mistakes. But we have to be quite wary that, first of all, we struggled against that kind of system, and obviously they're now going to have confidence because they beat Arsenal, and they're going to come to Tottenham thinking we can get something. But that newfound confidence might also play into our hands, because usually Brighton might come to Tottenham and be a bit more pragmatic, but maybe with that confidence and the way they play, very passing, possession based, they might have a bit of confidence to come at us and try and win the game. And we all know that if you leave space for an Antonio Conte team, that smells trouble, and we know how to deal with that space. So I'm hoping that they kind of come with that false sense of security, and we can obviously we've beaten them twice already this season, and we have to take those wins into account. So look, I'm obviously confident we're going to win, but we do have to be wary of those few things. So I think I would say 3-1. I reckon they'll have the confidence to come and score, but I don't think they will come and actually win the game. And I don't think we're going to be as flat as Arsenal were during the 90 minutes. Someone's just commented that Mwepo was misquoted, saying normally we would be focused on our own goals, but I can promise we will go into the game and do our best to win again. That would be good for Arsenal, I guess. That's what he said.
Oh, we know
right. I'll give him a pass then.
We'll still batter him though.
We'll rough him up because he's looking for a move to Arsenal, so we'll have to rough him up.
He did look good, that Mwepo. What a goal he scored, by the way, on the weekend.
Does anyone want some quick ITK news before we move on? We've just had another email.
Have we?
Yeah. I'll just read it out to you guys. This is, by the way, Spurs ITK news. We've just got this new link who seems to be emailing us some news. And obviously he told us Conte had COVID 2 days ago. So make of it what you will. He says, some minor news, just to let you know, no players have caught COVID as of now. More tests will be done, however. And Eriksen to Spurs is a real possibility, but Conte is just scared if he can handle the pressure and stress of coming to Spurs in certain situations. But Conte is definitely interested in the player. And that's it, really.
I love that. I'll be honest, when Eriksen left, there was nothing I wanted more than for him to leave, because you could see it was just over for all parties, and it was just winding down to him going for free. But I think I can speak for all of us when I say I'd absolutely love to see him back in the Spurs jersey. To be honest, I echo Conte's fears. Playing in that Brighton team and playing in this Tottenham team demands a lot different. This Tottenham team demands a lot more physically. Oh my God, it'd be beautiful to see him back in the Spurs jersey. David, Brighton, what's the score going to be, and how many is Kane going to score?
Yeah, just quickly, speaking of ITKs, I got to give you a bit of credit, Matty, because that Singa guy, or Pingu, whatever you want to call him, you said that to me in January, so you did, so fair play to you on that. But yeah, look, Brighton, look, we're gonna turn up into Harry Potter's coming to town. One platform be one dugout be Hogwarts, the other be platform 9 3/4. It should suit him. Look, at the end of the day, this guy gets a lot of plaudits. Graham Potter. I don't agree with it. I think Brighton are a very average team. I think they're very, very defensive first. Try and keep that clean sheet and go and win games. Look, in the Premier League, it can be effective, but all the praise they get, we bet them twice this season with ease, in my opinion. You look at the FA Cup one, bet them, and then the one that the two boys brought me to, which very kindly, my first away there was absolutely buzzing. Harry Kane kicked that Coke bottle. I mean, that Coke bottle is so lucky. I'm jealous, to be honest. But, we bet them twice.
He came home wishing he was that Coke bottle. He didn't stop talking about it all night.
Right? And, look, as good as decent as Brighton has been, the league table doesn't lie. We're 20 points ahead, and they're in 11th, we're in 4th. And if we want Champions League, these are teams you've got to be beaten without any excuses. I don't care how they play, how good they are defensively, how much of a high on they are from beating Arsenal. I could not care less. You want top 4, you want Champions League, these are the teams that will decide that for you. You drop points here, it all of a sudden changes our momentum and our shift going into the running. You win points here, it just keeps that positivity, that momentum going. So at the end of the day, I don't care what they're like or how they play or how tricky they can be. You've got to go and get the job done, no excuses. For me, look, I'm going to go 3-0 Spurs, to be honest with you. I think Harry Kane will bag 2. I think he's thirsty for some goals, and I think Son will get 1. But look, Brighton are going to be on a high the first 10, 15 minutes. They might come at us. They might still be on adrenaline from that Arsenal game. But once we settle into that game, we'll start playing our stuff. You get the ball to Bentancur. He gets it to Kane. You get Kulu and Son in behind. And it's good night, Brighton. We send you back down to the seaside, and you can suck on your stick of rocks after the lose.
We're getting Harry Kane a hat-trick this weekend. He's feeling a bit jealous that Sonny's getting in on the action on the Golden Boot Award. He wants his rewards.
Do you know what? I think... No, sorry, go on, mate. No,
I was going to say, I think it's set up perfectly. Son getting the hat-trick at the weekend. All we're seeing on our timeline today is Lucas Moore's hat-trick against Huddersfield this day 3 years ago or whatever. There has to be a hat-trick to finish off the week. And I'd be happy if it was Son to go level with Salah. It'd be fantastic to see Son with his first Golden Boot, but I don't think I'd be opposed to a Kane one either.
What a luxury position you have. Well, let's just choose who gets a hat-trick. Yeah, that's how it works.
It's a nice headache.
But you also look at it like we've been blowing teams away lately. It doesn't matter what they've thrown at us, we've been blowing them away. That Aston Villa game, they kicked the living crap out of us. And we've had these questions before when we were running for the league under Pochettino. Chelsea done it. Did we handle it? Could we handle it? No, we couldn't. We've shown against Villa, not only could we handle it, but we've a better manager than you, and we can change it tactically and execute it. You look at the Newcastle one, fears going into that game, teams that sit back. Okay, look, they may have sniffed the result and changed their tactics in the second half, but we punished them for it. West Ham, we punished them as well. We're not used to seeing this from this Tottenham side. We're not used to seeing the winning mentality at all costs. And it just seems like no matter what oppositions bring to us, especially at home at the minute, it doesn't matter. We find a way.
I love it. I'm going to give my prediction now, but first of all, I just want to bring up something you said there, David, about Graham Potter being an overrated manager. I think, and maybe it's easier for me to say as an Irishman watching English football, but I think a lot of English managers are overrated. I mean, Steven Gerrard is getting these plaudits for having such an incredible impact at Aston Villa. Frank Lampard has a better win percentage at Everton than Steven Gerrard has at Aston Villa, which absolutely blew my mind. I think Lampard is like 38.5, Gerrard is 38.1, so there's not much of a difference there. But Lampard has a much better record. And if you look at the Premier League, the top 6, the nationality of the managers are Spanish, German, Italian, Spanish, Scottish. If you look at the bottom 6, English, American, English. I mean, you talk about English managers deserving opportunities higher up in the table. I'm not personally sure that's true. Of course, there's some who do deserve it, but I think this love-in for some English managers, which again, as an Irishman, I can probably say I noticed with some English players as well. Like someone mentioned a while ago, an argument on Twitter about whether Bukayo Saka is a better player than Heung-min Son. I mean, if that doesn't show the delusion that some people have, especially Arsenal fans, I'm not sure what would. But look, for this game, exactly. Thank you. Tell that to the thousands of Arsenal fans that abuse me on Twitter.
I think there's a difference between managers like Dean Smith and Roy Hodgson and Graham Potter. I do think Potter, for me, has done a good job at Brighton, and I think the way he plays with better players, I'm telling you, they would see much better results. I think his tactics are pretty good. Look, he beat Arsenal with Östersunds from, I don't even know what league they were in, Sweden or something.
Sweden.
Yeah, I don't know how he managed that. This guy, I know it's gone a bit stale at Brighton, but I don't think that's down to him. I think that's down to a lot of the same players he's had for a long stretch of time. And look, Brighton are always going to be a mid-table team. You can't expect them to be anything more than that. And that's in itself an achievement, them staying in the league and being mid-table, because Brighton are easily one of those teams where they could have a different manager and they could be a relegation battle and no one would look twice, let's be honest. So I think he's doing a good job to keep them in the league. And I'm not saying I want him as Tottenham manager next. But I do think he's an underrated coach who, at a better club with better resources, would I could see him being in Europe and doing that kind of stuff for sure.
Hey, Dundalk nearly beat Arsenal, so I wouldn't read too much into that.
I don't remember that.
I'm joking.
But look, yeah, my prediction for this game, as much praise as you're giving Graham Potter there, I think he's going to be leaving the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with his tail between his legs. I'm not going to go as optimistic as the 5-0 that Ben said, and I'm probably not going to go for a clean sheet either, because I think we're due a goal conceded, because we went one game without it, and we don't tend to do that very often. Look, at fit and firing again, that front line absolutely
talking
immense.
about the defense all stream, Matty.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm just honest. But yeah, look, I'm going to go with the 3-1 win for Spurs. It's a massive opportunity to, like you said there a bit earlier, Sim, get that 6-point gap ahead of Arsenal before they play, and we do that as well. We go 2 points behind Chelsea. Of course, they play in the FA Cup this weekend. They will have 2 games at hand, but that mentality could be absolutely huge, and the potential of getting third in the Premier League, the potential for Chelsea to mess up what they've built so far this season could be good. So we'll go with a 3-1 victory. Everyone, make sure to get your score predictions in the live chat. I'm sure it'll be very, very positive in there as well. And while you're touching your screen, hit that like button as well.
Whichever way.
Look, we will wrap it up there. It's been an incredible stream. A lot of positivity. It's a nice change for some Spurs fans. But before you do go, we have a few places we want to direct you, and the first one of those is the Irish Hotspur channel. David, let the wonderful people watching know what they'll find over on your channel.
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur, and I just put out normal content like everybody else does. If you like what I have to say here, I guess go over there, check out the content. And if you don't want to hit the subscribe, at least check me out, watch me, and let my content do the talking.
Hit that subscribe, guys. Don't listen to him. Just hit that subscribe, man.
The link for David's channel is in the title as well. If you just hit his name at the Irish Hotspur, it'll bring you right to his wonderful channel. I think you're being a bit humble there, calling your content normal, because it's far from normal. It's some exceptional stuff over there. Ben, Sim, what's coming up on WeAreTottenhamTV?
Yeah, we've got a busy weekend ahead. Obviously, tomorrow, Antonio's press conference will be with you guys. We'll probably predict the Prem show tomorrow as well. And then Friday is all the usual pre-match stuff, live stream in the morning, predicted lineup, match preview. And then obviously on Saturday morning is the watch along with me and Henry Wright. Sim will be in the stadium getting all the clips and, being very busy on his phone at the game, sending in every goal as it goes in. It's going to be brilliant. I can't wait to see all that content. And obviously on Sundays, all the post-match stuff with the player ratings and the 5 takeaways and all that kind of stuff. So busy weekend ahead over at WeAreTottenhamTV.
I love it. I'll be tuning in for as much of that as I possibly can. I have my first weekend off work since August. So I'm going to be doing absolutely nothing but watching football and listening to people talk about football. And I'm going to enjoy every single second of it. For me, I'm back uploading, which I tend to take some breaks every now and then. But we're coming into the transfer window, so there's going to be a lot on my channel. Again, MattHayesTHFC blog linked in the title. I did a great stream last night, if I may say so myself, with some wonderful guests, looking back at the Villa game, but also looking ahead a bit more in-depth about where Spurs can strengthen this summer and how important it is, like I mentioned, that we do get the players that Antonio Conte wants. We got Brian Daigle in the chat, says big up everyone in the chat and on the panel. I also agree with Ben, 5-0 thumping on Saturday, 5 against the Magpies, so 5 against Seagulls to complete the set. I love that, Brian. Great to see you in the live chat. Great to see everyone else as well. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the show. But from me and from these gents, as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Let's do it.